I power walk down to that pile of gummy bears and back. I should probably set the pile out further, or closer, so I can get at them.
Hey, what's up, pups? Excuse me. Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. Kabam! It's a show that takes a look at what's happening in pop culture, keeping ourselves up to date whenever we can, comment on what's good, what's bad, what's disgusting, in terms of like the bullshit that keeps on getting fisted inside of our entertainment, with the hopes of rekindling the dying nostalgic spirit and ultimately return it back to just being entertained for entertainment's sakes. So thanks again for everyone for hanging out tonight and joining me as we take a look at some topics that have caught my eye. We got a handful, so pretty excited. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Mine was okay. But if you're new to the show and you swing by and you enjoy it, feel free to hit that subscribe button, punch that thumbs up, and turn on notification to get notified when I go live. We try to go live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 Eastern Time with the Power Up Podcast, whether that's a guest or just me. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then over the weekend, we try to do some game streaming. We just finished Bayonetta and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And we just started up, oh geez, why for some reason am I drawing a blank? Mega Man 8, that's right. I was like, I know we started a game. Why am I drawing a blank? Mega Man 8. Might try to look at another series too. Maybe continue Bayonetta if I can get a copy of the game. But yes, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm humbled and blessed that you guys take the time to chill. So let's hop into it, shall we? Waboosh. There we go. All right. This is coming from Fandom Pulse. Assassin's Creed EP admits Ubisoft does not know where players are and how the company can reach them. No idea what this means. I think this sounds hilarious. Let's find out. I mean, Ubisoft clearly doesn't know like what players want, at least, because they thought, making a samurai here when finally covering, Japan, instead of having, the norm of a Japanese, Asian character and showcasing the world through that. Instead, they said, no, we need to be more diverse. We need a black dude. And lo and behold, Yasuke has been given to us on a silver platter. And there's very little about him, so we can make up whatever bullshit we want. So Assassin's Creed executive producer Mark Alexis Kota recently admitted that Ubisoft does not know where players are and does not know how to reach players with its games. Hopefully he'll elaborate a little bit more because, simply saying that is not too surprising. We've seen how these people are. So during the Q&A portion of an interview at the XDS24 conference, Kota was asked how external development will affect Ubisoft in the next 3 to 5 years. He responded, I think we're in an era of peak change. I don't know what the industry is going to look like in 5 years, but clearly we're transforming. But the question is, are you transforming? Is it transforming for better or for worse? Well, right now it was worse, but I think we're finally starting to turn stuff around. And I think it creates anxiety. Well, I think it's creating anxiety for the people who know that they're tourists and activists, and they know that they're not belong there. They just weasel themselves in there because of DEI garbage, diversity hire, or through cancel culture. See it as a challenge that we need to solve together because whether it's in the AAA or even in the more indie space, the recipe for success, as it's been in the last maybe 20 years, is dramatically shifting. Again, the question is, did it really shift? That's my biggest question. Is they're saying that it shifted and everything's changing, but like my thought process is, I don't think anything was really broken back in the day. They think it is because they don't want to admit the fact that video games, like, 80+% of the video game space is with white males. That's just reality. They don't want to admit that. They said it needs to be more diverse. And instead of letting it organically happen because they're too afraid to let it organically happen because they're the real racists and the bigots and whatnot, because they project that onto other people, they instead then force the diversity to happen. And that forced diversity usually, again, falls under the activism tourist label. And when I say usually, I mean like broken clock is right at least, only twice a day, sort of broken. It's definitely what is the case. But as we see, I think we're slowly seeing waves being pushed back. So we still need to innovate. He continued, we need to control our costs because they have all ballooned clearly for over the last 5 years. Now, because this is Ubisoft, I hope they crash and burn because they've pretty much decided to. They have decided to take up that mantle by not listening to what people think. Throw any sort of criticism under hate and grifting and just plug the ears and la 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 la, sort of thing. So Ubisoft can crash and burn. Lord Congness over on Rumble says, hey, folks, how's everyone tonight? Hey, what's up? I'm doing all right. We're just taking a gander at some pop culture fun. He said, we need to find where players are, which has been a question I've been having for the last 2 years. Where are players? What are they playing? Where do we reach them? All of this will become clear in the coming years as our industry transforms. Sure, and hopefully you guys get booted out because, how long has this guy been in here? Because if you're asking where the players are, like he says he's been asking where the players are for the last 2 years, you would think that hopefully by now you would know what people are asking for and what they want and be able to give them the product. But you haven't. Instead, you've been making a lot of games and bastardizing a lot of already established games by, creating one giant circle jerk. Lord Cognus says, I remember when games were for entertainment and escapism. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Wait, did that... why... Dude, Rumble Studio, why you being like this? I was trying to show... Okay. So, for some reason... So, the Rumble Studios preview on my end showcases that the pin is up, but on my end, it's not showing it. Why? Unpin. Oh gosh, I think Rumble Studios is like crashing. Oh, there we go. You're a little on the lag side there, Rumble Studios. We're gonna refresh on my end real quick. Okay. Anywho, back to the article. Ironically, earlier in the same interview, Corte revealed that, or Corte, however you want to pronounce it, revealed that one of the company's main goals with its games is to change people. He revealed that one of the first questions that CEO Yves Guillemot asks when he's being pitched by developers within the game is, what will players learn? I feel like this is a retarded question and shouldn't even be asked. I think the real question would be, what do players want to play? Oh my gosh, this is so stupid. What will players learn? What are you talking about? If we wanted to learn something, are you making an educational game? That's one thing. But what will players learn? How about what are people playing and what can we do to get those players to play our game and make it better than the other ones? Oh my gosh. He explained why he asked this question. What I think has driven Yves for 36, 37 years now is this idea that video games can change the world, and you start changing the world by changing people. Getting awfully close to propaganda there, bucko. And if you give them something to think about, even while they're having fun, right? If they can learn something, then you can like change one. Then you can like change one person. You can change the world. He added. Okay, he's thrown in the word like. I mean, I do that too. Regardless, Coda's admission that Ubisoft does not know where players are and does not know what games they are playing reflects a year of disasters for the company. The company released Skull and Bones earlier this year, and then eventually on Steam in August. The game only hit a peak concurrent player count of just 2,615. Ouch. Ouch. And then similarly, it also released Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown in January to Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox, but it did not arrive to Steam until August. The game peaked with just 1,446 players, and it's been rumored that the team developed the game was completely disbanded, with the hosts of the French language Origami YouTube channel sharing in recent days at Ubisoft's Montpellier. We are transporting boxes from one floor to another, and it's quite a symbol because it is that of dissolution, not announced to the public but completed, of the team Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So the company also released a free-to-play looter shooter with X-Defiant in May. The game's executive producer, Mark Rubin, revealed in October that the game's player count are down amid rumors that Ubisoft might shut the game down at the end of Season 4 due to low player counts and poor monetization. To be crystal clear, there are no plans to shut down after Season 4. We've literally been in meetings as of last week to discuss our Year 2 plan, but right now we are super focused on improving the technical experience, which includes netcoding and adding more content from Season 3 and 4. He then admitted that player numbers are down. We have done very little marketing, so yes, our numbers are down, but that is just to give the team the time to get the game in better place before we do bigger spendings on marketing to bring new players to the game and to bring back players that have left. Oh, bullshit. And then the company's biggest flop, as we know, was Star Wars Outlaws. It was supposed to sell at least 5 million copies in its first copy based on conservative estimates from financial analysts. However, rumor from Insider Game claims the game only sold 1 million copies in the first month. And, of course, they're not going to release any official numbers, but they did admit that the game's sales underperformed sale expectations. Furthermore, Ubisoft announced that Drew Rechner would be the game's new creative director, seemingly replaced Julian G. Righty. And then, as we know, the delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows and all of the controversy behind it. Rumors indicate the company is making massive changes to the game. Tom Henderson claimed that the company was changing some of Yasuke's story and how he's portrayed in the game, fixing architectural details, and ensuring that the game is historically grounded while fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe. You know what would make it historically grounded is if the main character was like, you know, an actual Japanese male protagonist. Like, we do not need to see this through the lens of Yasuke. Because if we did actually see it through the lens of Yasuke, as we actually can find, like, the actual historical documents, it doesn't paint him in a good picture. It doesn't paint him like Thomas Lockley did, which was just one gigantic jerk-off, legend stories, just most of which made up by him. Henderson also added that the game is currently not at the stage it needs to be for release, and I'm told that there has been some tweaks to some gameplay mechanics and elements that are going to take time to incorporate. Now, I've said it before that I kind of want to see this game to be stuck in development hell forever. Because I want that money I want Ubisoft's money to bleed from this game. Because like I said, they are the ones that have taken up the mantle and pretty much not listening to people. That they're just going to go ahead and keep continuing their stupid diverse crap with the hopes of, I guess, someday it working. It'll work someday. You know, it'll work like a lot, like, again, like Dragon Age, the Veilguard, they super hyped up that game. Historical revisionism reeks of Marxism. Exactly, Lord Cognus. Exactly. And then YouTuber Endymion also shared information from his source that claimed that Ubisoft is planning to make changes to Yasuke. He said one of the things for sure getting removed, according to my sources, is the rap hip hop music for Yasuke. Yeah, that was fucking stupid. Way to be way to say, well, we're not historically basing real people, but we're trying to do the environment at the time. Well, there was no rap in the environment, so we don't like actual history, so we'll just rewrite it to suit our needs. That's what they always do all the time. And the reason that they rewrite it is because they are the ones that are actually the enemies, as they would like to say. They were always the bad guys. But like how bad people who, instead of just looking inside themselves and changing, instead just said, no, you know what? We'll just rewrite it so we're just painted to look right. And then we'll just live with the skeletons in our closet forever and pray and hope that no one ever finds out about it. Well, half the time people usually do. Apparently, Ubisoft brought out a questionnaire, and they were unanimously told that the rap music was tonally wrong and completely unneeded. What about the one that said, "Hey, we didn't want Yasuke as the main character"? I'm sure they ignored that questionnaire, and that it was actually offensive that Ubisoft believed Yasuke needed a hip-hop battle theme in the game that was set well before such music existed, and it was only implemented because Yasuke was black. See, that right there just shows that was the slip of the mask to show that these people are the real racist ones. They're the real bigots. So that's going to be gone for sure. Also going to be removing dialogue from the game that, according to my source, told me it would actually enrage players if they heard it. I wasn't given concrete examples of what kind of dialogue, but the source assumed it may have been Yasuke saying some sort of socio-political pandering nonsense about he was sold by white men or something, and that he hates white men and white supremacy must be abolished and such. See, this is funny because this lingo is like the lingo that we've heard nowadays. They may have, like, this topic may have been talked about back in that day, but they did not use this terminology. Like, this is how you can tell when there's woke DDI, like DEI bullshit inside of this, is when you hear stupid talk like this, because they're trying to insert it while being clever, you know? But the fact is that their script has been so obvious, and they're so ignorant in projecting their script onto other people. It's like you can see it a mile away. They're also removing this because, of course, if that were in the game, it would absolutely be highlighted and used to detract even more people from supporting the game in future. Endymion states. And then what do you make of Koda admitting that he and the management at Ubisoft seemingly have no clue what they are doing in the current video game market? They don't have any clue. That, again, this is why I will not weep at all when Ubisoft shuts down and loses all its money or gets bought out or just crumbles. They have gladly taken up the mantle of the circus tent, and they are willing to accept the circus tent is on fire, and they're just going to let it burn to the ground. On how they're handling Assassin's Creed Shadows, how they handled Star Wars Outlaws. They are the Neo of the video game industries, but not the good Neo, like the gay one. If there is a gay Neo, probably somewhere. I'm sure one of the many, like in the Matrix 2, one of the many scenarios. I'm sure one Leo was gay. We'll get to... Oh, this was one of the main ones I was going to highlight. So we'll talk to that. We'll look at those kind of towards the end. So hopping over to Video Game Chronicle here. So Nintendo... I've been seeing a lot of articles about Nintendo going at, like, suing people left and right. And here's another one. Apparently they caught a pirate via their Reddit post and console repairs. So an alleged pirate reportedly slipped up by sending Nintendo repair requests. Nintendo reportedly identified a user who was allegedly pirating its software by tracking the Reddit post and console repair request. The user named James Williams. I mean, they have it in the article. It's not me who may have doxed or not. So, used the alias Archbox online. Via this username, a firm hired by Nintendo was able to link the account, which had posted in subreddits about Switch piracy, to other posts that identified their location. According to GameFile, recent court filings reveal that Nintendo hired the law firm Mitchell Silberberg. Oh, there's like 2 B's in that last name. Silberberg. Oh, that sounds awful. Oh, that just does not roll off the tongue well. And Knoop, to investigate, quote, free shops or online stores for pirated Switch games. The report goes on to say that in or about February of 2024, plaintiff Nintendo succeeded in linking Archbox with at least 2 Nintendo accounts for an individual named James Williams. James Williams even sounds like a fake name, not gonna lie. Following this, it's claimed Nintendo was able to check its internal records and find a matching email address used by Williams, which was tied to an address in Arizona. Oh, okay. Well, Video Game Chronicle wasting no time in slowly narrowing down that doxing, which previously Reddit posters had suggested was Williams' home state. Following the cease and desist letter from Nintendo, Williams allegedly emailed Nintendo to say that he would, per their filing, comply and cooperate with any demands or requests within his control. However, they reportedly then stopped communicating with Nintendo, thus leading to a default judgment in Nintendo's favor. Details of damage sought by Nintendo have yet to be made public. Earlier this week, it was reported that Nintendo had filed a lawsuit against a player. Yeah, this was the other one, who taunted the company on streams while pirating its games. According to the company, defendants Jesse Kean is a recidivist pirate who has obtained and streamed Nintendo's leaked games on multiple occasions. The lawsuit alleges that since 2022, he streamed at least 10 of Nintendo's leaked games before they were released, more than 50 times in total, the most recent being Mario and Luigi Brothership. Now, see, yeah, if you're like streaming stuff before it's even released, that's one thing. If you own the game and you own the system and you've ripped the information and all that stuff, Nintendo can go fist themselves in terms of emulation. Because if you that's where it falls in the gray area. Because, if you're not, distributing the emulator, you're not making the emulator, but you back everything up and copy for your own personal use, then Nintendo can piss off. Things are indeed getting intense here in terms of the video game industry. And that is kind of the main topics that I kind of want to look at today. So, Geoff Keighley tries to trademark the Game Awards, which might cause issues for Stuttering Craig's The Real Game Awards show. We will see. Coming from that Park Place here, we also have another article that kind of talks about this as well. So, Geoff Keighley has attempted to trademark the Game Awards. This move could cripple independent creators and smaller outlets that run their own video game awards, like Stuttering Craig of Side Scrollers and his upcoming The Real Game Awards show. Well, I'm seeing the Real Game Awards and I'm seeing the Game Awards, so I can tell the difference between the two, so I don't see an issue. Keighley started the Game Awards in 2014. At the time, the event celebrated gamers and the games they loved. Well, maybe back in the day, it wasn't super infested. It's infested now. That's 100% sure. In the decades since, it has grown into a corporate outlet for a very bloated game industry, often pushing agendas and towing shill corporate lines in an attempt to net exclusive trailers and announcements for huge studios. Excuse me. And we have a YouTube video here by Smash JT, who has covered it. The Game Awards winners are decided by a jury of industry experts. Huge X to down on that one. They're not industry experts at all. They're guarantee you activists or tourists, which consist of game journalists. Yep, from establishment access media like IGN. Yep, Polygon, Variety, and PC Gamer, along with a public vote. We also have an article about PC Gamer too, involving Steam. We'll get to that one. However, the public vote only counts for 10% of the results, while the media jury gets 90% of the vote. See, that's what always got me good. See, that's why when Last of Us Part 2 came out alongside Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima won the public vote easily, hands down, and should have won other stuff. But because Last of Us Part 2 was a woke public service announcement video game, they gave it all this awards and stuff like that. So, to me, that was kind of the eye-opener of, this is 100% bullshit. Not that I really cared about the Game Awards to begin with. So, following a video by Moriarty of the really cool YouTube channel back in December of 2023 that exposed the voting jury, the Game Awards deleted its jury page. Ooh, I'll have to watch that. Dang, he found the jury. Ooh, nice. Keighley's show even features a category. It's this actually reminded me of back in my college days when I got my my art degree that I am actually using, believe it or not. What was I going to say? We actually watched a documentary talking about this film is not yet rated, and it talked about the motion video's rating system. You want to talk about corrupt stuff? There's one that's a good documentary. You guys should watch it. So this is like the video game. There's just this article talking about this video that they're mentioning makes me think of that documentary. So they got scared, deleted its jury page. Keighley's show even features a category called Games for Impact, which essentially celebrates the games that injected the most DEI that year. Oh my gosh, dude, what a bunch of fags. Keighley described it as recognize a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning. Look, aren't they the ones that saying, gamings weren't corrupted? We're not trying to, Kimball Air. We're not trying to wokeify your games. You're not trying to do this. We literally just read this quote right here of Keighley stating this. And then what's his face over at Ubisoft asking, what can the players learn? So these fucking liars, man. LOL, I was a graphics design major, but didn't quite make it through. I'm surprised. I feel like graphic design should be a tad bit more easier to at least get a steady job than what I'm doing. I mean, I'm doing video editing, so I'm able to do that. But I don't know. I feel like graphic design you should have a little bit more an advantage, you would think. But then again, I mean, college nowadays, no point going to it. Not until they rip out everything and start from the ground up. Anyway, Game for Impact is one of the show's featured awards. It gets a full presentation and acceptance speech, while categories like Best Sports Game get only a passing mention. So YouTube personality Smash JT, hey, I had him on the show. Talked with him a little bit. Cool guy. Brought this issue to light in a video on his official channel, simply titled Geoff Keighley Must Be Stopped. Wabam. I thought this was a joke, he said, while standing on the shore of Laguna Beach. But the Dorito Pope is actually moving forward with trying to silence any kind of opposition. I'm old as fuck. I was in college back in 1996. Dang. Yeah, I was in 6 to 2010. Wow. But the 90s, man, they were amazing. Love the 90s. Keighley earned the nickname Dorito Pope during an interview with LevelSave.com back in 2012. The interview featured excessive advertisement for Doritos and Mountain Dew, which led to gamers granting him the dubious moniker. I mean, Game Fuel was Game Fuel. Yeah, I always get Game Fuel and G Fuel mixed up. I love the 90s as well. 90s and early 2000s for me were the best. I even like 80s music, because they're, one-hit wonders and stuff like that. But those were the best times. Yeah, like my folks and stuff will say like the 60s and 70s, but dude, 90s and 2000s, man. This is where like I like that. I think that was the best time because anything was possible. And if you failed, it didn't hurt you that much. At least you tried, you know? Nowadays, it's, again, that passion and that nostalgia and that entertainment of being entertained is gone and dying. And it's being replaced by people like this. Moriarty highlighted Keighley's trademark plot on X. So he's attempting to trademark Game Awards with the U.S. Patent Office, meaning no one else will be able to host an award show with the words Game Awards in it. Like, if it's just Game Awards, that's one thing. But if it's Game Awards, blah, 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 I don't know. I think there's leeway. Worse, he's emailing fans and requesting they file with the USPTO on his behalf. What a fag. Geoff Keighley is attempting to trademark... Oh, I just read that. The move by Keighley would be a direct threat to Stuttering Craig of Side Scrollers and his, quote, Take Games Back initiative. Craig announced plans last spring for a new gaming award show called The Real Game Awards, where the players vote on winners instead of game journalists. Year after year, over and over again after the Game Awards, people say there has to be a real award show for gamers, he said in his official announcement back in March. Well, let's do it. That would be Stuttering Craig. If Keighley succeeds in his attempt to patent the Game Awards, he'd be able to bring legal action down, not on just Craig, but any other organization that holds an award show with Game Awards in their title or description. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'm actually... Should send a Legal Mindset this. I wonder what Legal Mindset would think. Keighley will likely encounter resistance to this filing since Game Awards is such a broad term. Exactly. The U.S. Patent Office has ruled against trademarking a common use language. Yeah. However, many worry that he might use his wealth and influence to find a loophole and ultimately succeed. It's like the most generic terminology about an award show you can ever have in your life, Smash Shade, he said, and he's trying to patent this. And if he gets the right people in charge that look at it, they could potentially approve it, and then anybody trying to say anything about their own Game Awards would be infringing on his copyright. Yeah, see, I feel like it's way too broad. So it looks like I need to trademark the word real soon, Craig said in response, so nobody can ever use the word real, ever, for anything. And then the question that Park Place always asks, do you think he will ultimately trademark the Game Awards? Does the game industry need an alternative award show controlled by the players? Sound off and let us know. Yeah, this doesn't make sense because if, like, is it the phrase the Game Awards? Because if it's just Game Awards, then literally every video game company could be under, like, you know, do they not call themselves video games anymore? You know? It's just, but yeah. Yeah, I'm just repeating kind of what I've said already. Mark Keighley, all I can say is actually that was Venom Greg. Venom Greg said that, not me. He's a man of few words, but very powerful words that drives straight, you know, gets straight to the point. And so banking off of Geoff Keighley with the Real Game Awards, we have another one from that Park Place. The Game Awards rejects woke titles with official nomination. Is Geoff Keighley feeling heat from Stuttering Craig's The Real Game Awards? So, Geoff Keighley's The Game Awards announced nominations today on a YouTube live stream, and it wasn't what the public expected. Most assumed that the 10th iteration of Keighley's annual event, which is typically driven by corporate interests and the legacy game journalism elitists, would celebrate failed woke titles like Dragon Age The Veilguard, Concord, Dustborn, and Star Wars Outlaw. However, those games received very little attention. Very little, apparently. While fan favorites like Black Myth Wukong and Astrobot ruled the day. Interesting. It's possible It's possible this about face could be a response to starring Craig of Side Scrollers launching his own video game award show dubbed the Real Game Awards. Now, I don't know kind of was this written first and then he dropped the patent, or was it the other way around? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe this article will cover it. When was this one written? Oh, this was written November 17th. Okay, so he did the patent thing, it sounds like, first, but then have this. The games mentioned above weren't even up for the Games for Impact Award, which celebrates thought-provoking games with a profound social meaning, according to Keighley. Those 4 titles with their heavy-handed identity politics and social messaging seemed poised to dominate that category, with many expecting at least one to appear for other big awards like Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, and more. The only people who give a shit about woke are clowns that don't play games. Hopefully wokeism is on the way out, and with a lot of luck, BlackRock along with it. I sure hope so. I feel like we are kind of over that hump for sure, because the labeling isn't working anymore. Especially this last election, people, every way they can cope was canceled. You know, your red Senate, red House of Representatives, Trump, and popular vote. All of it just completely shattered. You know, people spoken. So the labeling, to me, the labeling doesn't work anymore. I feel like because, you know, Star Wars Outlaws failed, Concord failed, Dustborn failed, and now the Dragon Age, the Veilguard failed. I'm hoping it's out of it. I'm not holding my breath though, because we still have Ubisoft. I think the way to really know when this garbage is finally being burnt and removed is when, unfortunately, a AAA studio closes or loses money or gets bankrupt or is gone. I personally think Ubisoft is becoming that company, because I feel like they're still pushing hard on it. Yeah, we still have an uphill battle. Yes, I agree. So the presentation was, of course, hosted by Keighley, a man who never backs down from an opportunity to be on camera. Despite its listed start time at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the stream began with a 30-minute countdown. Once Keighley actually appeared, the nominations took only 11 minutes to announce. The big nominees this year were Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which netted 7 nominations each, including the coveted Game of the Year. Why is there an E at the end of each is beyond me. But anyway. And really, I heard, why Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? That didn't even do nearly as good as Part 1. So here you go, most nominated games. Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that was 7 nominations. Metaphor had 6. Balatro and Silent Hill 2 had 5. I knew Silent Hill 2 was going to get up there. Smile Hill 2. Smile! As, you know, monsters are chasing you. It's Pyramid Head that's coming after you. Silent Hill 2 is a smoke and mirrors game as far as I'm concerned. They got away with just enough DEI to where people kind of fell for it, but you take away the Silent Hill 2 franchise slapped on there, and it would be a mediocre game. It comes off more Resident Evil remake than it does a Silent Hill type game, but I've talked about that plenty of times. And then 4 nominations, of course: Black Myth, Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Entry, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, and Semasage Hellblade 2. That was the most nominated games. Surprised. I had the name of the game in my mind, but for some reason I lost it. Up next was Metaphor Refantasio with 6 nominations. And then we got Black Myth Wukong, a wildly popular action game from China, received 4 nominations. This surprised many as the game journalist industry attacked the Chinese company before its release, allegedly alleging sexism issues. With the developer, many took this as another sign that things were changing. Eyebrows collectively raised during the announcement of the Game of the Year nominees. Listed among them was Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, a DLC expansion of the original title, which won Game of the Year in 2022. Full exploration of the DLC can take in excess of 40 hours, so while it is a DLC content, its size does rival that of a standalone game. Still, it's odd to see a DLC expansion listed among so many heavy hitters. Yeah, I thought that was another thing I saw too, was like they're now putting DLCs on there, which to me defeats the whole point. And then we've already read off the list. Star Wars Outlaws, the much maligned and extremely buggy Ubisoft failure in a galaxy far, far away, only garnered 2 major award nominations. Humberly Gonzalez, who plays Kay Vess in the game, was nominated for Best Performance. Women made up 4 out of the 5 nominations in this category for 2024. The game was also nominated for Best Action Adventure Game. Despite Ubisoft admitting recently that the title underperformed. I thought, like, I thought someone got, like, nominated for, like, music or something. Outlaws also got a nod for Best Accessibility Feature. Veilguard was also nominated for the same category. This was the only nomination for Veilguard, an agenda-driven BioWare RPG, which failed to break 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. You got Concord and Dustborn, received no nominations. Keighley ended the broadcast by urging players to cast their votes for the award winners. However, that's not going to do much in the long run. The Game Award nominations and winners are decided primarily by a committee made up of legacy access media games journalists from outlets like IGN, Polygon, and Variety. While the public votes on winners, that public score only counts 10%, and the jury gets a wonderful 90% over who wins and loses. This unbalanced power dynamic was what led Stuttering Craig of Side-Scrollers to launch his own show, dubbed the Real Game Awards. And then we've read that quote already. And then the new show's winners are voted on by players with no legacy access media involvement and no corporate sponsors. The exact opposite of how Keighley's show has operated for the last 10 years. And Craig's show appears to have rattled Keighley, who recently tried to file a trademark with U.S. Patent Office for the Game Awards. This would, if accepted, prevent others from running their own award shows with the incredible generic term Game Awards in their title or description. His filing marks the first time he's tried to trademarking the name, even though he's been running the award show for a decade. The only difference this year is there's a new game in town, and that's getting a lot more traction. Didn't say a lot more. I just threw it in there because hats off to Stuttering Craig. It's unlikely that Keighley will succeed in his attempt to trademark this term, as the U.S. Patent Office has law against trademarking common use terms. And then, do you think the Real Game Awards will make an impact on the Game Awards nomination for 2024? I think so. And I think they can, again, the labeling isn't working. They can only label misinformation and grifters so much to where no one, to where it's the exact opposite. Anytime you hear someone saying that, you just immediately know that they're the assholes of the whole thing. So just ignore them or make fun of them. They usually hate the latter, and it's always funny to see them break down. But let me tell you one company that's having an interesting doozy of a time. That is Steam, because U.S. Senator Mark Warner threatens federal action against Steam if it does not take action against alleged anti-Semitism claims. Oh my gosh. And I just opened up this right here. This is from his apparent official Gov website. So you can read that here, or read that over there. I also got, I first saw it with PC Gamer. So, there are a bunch of buttholes. So definitely want to see how they're spinning this. But starting off, well, you know what? Let's start off. Let's start off with PC Gamer. So Steam is apparently an unsafe place for teens and young adults. And U.S. Senator warns Gabe Newell of more intense scrutiny from the government if Valve doesn't take action against extremist content. I'm still trying to figure out who gave a certain overrepresented demographic the power to be the arbiters of what is and isn't hate speech. The figure, as far as I'm concerned, is probably like straight up demonic, to be honest, because a lot of that shit can be traced back. Even scripture talks about the powers that be, your government, Hollywood, for example. A lot of it has occult stuff weaved way back in the background, and there are definitely powers that allow them to be able to pull this sort of garbage. So I believe that definitely has a huge play in it. So less than a week after the release of an ADL report accusing Steam of normalizing hate and extremism in the gaming community. Remember, the people who claim that this is happening in here usually aren't players. They're not there. They're tourists or they're activists. I agree, says Lord Cognis. Yep. U.S. Senator Mark Warren has sent a letter to Valve boss Gabe Newell asking what the company is doing to combat the rise of extremist content on the platform and warning of further scrutiny from the government if Valve doesn't play ball. Well, Gabe, I would hope that when you saw that letter, you immediately threw it right into the trash because this Mark Warren guy can go fist himself, like really deep go fist himself. I'm getting so fucking tired of this stupid hate speech, anti-Semitism. It's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely bad. But it baffles my mind why this is like the top tier. Like you've drawn the line this far, Like to me, it's the same thing as like a hate crime or something like that. It's like you murdered someone. You murdered a gay person. Well, that's an extra special murder because that guy was gay. It's like it's still murder. Like what are we talking about here? Like, oh my gosh. Ugh. That's just a very crude example of my logic about the whole thing. Like a very quick, crude example. I'm sure if I sat down and fleshed it out more, I could provide better context of my thought process. Good example, though. Yes. The ADL and SPLC are poison in the freedom of speech. Yeah, see, and that's the main thing, too. Like, if you don't like what people are saying, like, leave. Literally, you treat them as the town drunk. The only time you need to confront the town drunk is when he's literally doing actions that cause problems. Then a good ass beating is needed. That's the other thing about the 90s and early 2000s I like. When there was a problem, you duke it out, and that was it. I mean, men did, at least. I guess probably some women did it too. Men back in the day, if you had a problem, you had a bully, and you were tired of being bullied, well, bam. And especially if you hit that guy and he drops down like a sack of potatoes, yeah. Guarantee you that bully ain't going to be bothering you anymore. It's been brought to your attention before that extremist ideologies seem to have found a home on Steam. X to doubt on that. Like, Warner wrote in a letter via The Verge, in 2022, Valve received a Senate letter identifying nearly identical activity on your platform, and yet 2 years later, it appears that Valve has chosen to continue a hands-off type approach to content moderation that favors allowing some users to engage in sustained bouts of disturbing and violent rhetoric, rather than ensuring that all of its users can find a welcoming and safe environment across your platform. It is not Valve's fucking responsibility or Steam's responsibility to have a safe environment when it's online. They are there to simply host games. Oh my gosh. Where are the parents? Want to know what you do? You sit your kid down and go, hey, I don't care if you go on Steam. Be prepared to see some crazy crap. Ignore it. Do what you need to do. Get the game you want. Play the game. There you go. Dude, it is not Steam's, nor is it the government's responsibility to make everything a welcome and safe environment. Because I'm pretty confident people can do that. See, this is another thing, too, is that these people are so fucking paranoid that, oh, there's all this hate and stuff going around. Let's be real here. The hate always comes from the people who are saying, well, that's not a safe environment. Guarantee you, majority of times someone goes, that's not a safe environment, same as gun control. The people who will cause the problems are the people who say that. Gosh. Again, none of this back in the day was a huge issue. Oh my gosh. And this is coming from a Christian who absolutely laughs at the satanic panic that was following. Because half the people who did the satanic panic, like craze and stuff like that, had no fucking clue what they were talking about. Or they were just spewing stuff that they just heard from someone else. It's one thing to identify and see where occult influences or cult, symbolism and stuff like that is being used in a story. It's a whole nother thing to where it's like secretly being used to hopefully cast black magic on you or something like that. Like, oh my gosh. Like it's like in the new Indiana Jones video game that's coming out where they have to slap on that warning of like, just so you know that the studio that made this game is in no way, shape, or form condoning, the Nazism and stuff. It's like, dude, we're not retarded. We understand that you guys don't support Nazism. Oh my gosh. It's because they're so terrified that people cannot like separate the two. Oh my gosh. Oh. Being a Jewish organization, you think the ADL would want racism to be overt and not covert? If I were them, I'd want to know exactly who to stay away from. It's thought control. It's thought control. This is how they made up the stupid microaggression. Well, you're being microaggressive, you just don't even know it. It's literally the Socrates cave analogy, where I believe it was Socrates, where he talks about the cave analogy of like, oh, you need to... The people who should be running the government and stuff like that are the people who have figured out, that people are stuck in the cave and they need to drag them out of the cave. And the big question is, who drug you out of the cave? Who made you, the person that's realized what the truth is? Like, I'll tell you where the truth is. Look in the Bible. That's where the truth is. That's reality. That's life. That's where everything came from. And I've done my own research enough to be convinced indeed that's where you'll find the truth of the world. Hello, yes, I was playing D&D and listening to metal way back then during the satanic panic. Yeah, and what happened? What happened? Now, granted, I went on Christian retreats where they did it's not a haunted house, but it's to showcase like the powers that understand are indeed very real. Like those powers did have an origin story. Like those came from the fallen angels and Enoch, son of Cain, and stuff like that. Like he's the one, and Cain himself. They were the ones that started the whole thing. Like if it's one thing to understand the origin story of where it came from, but if you want to talk about scripture wise, like it isn't a sitting battle. Like you're in a war, and you need to put on the whole armor of God, like Paul says. Like Christianity isn't a sex. Well, you read the Song of Solomon, it definitely is about sex. But it isn't a spectator sport. It's one thing to participate in it. It's another thing to just stick your head in the sand and just ignore it. That's not where you're supposed to do. Sometimes you have to step onto the battlefield. Anyway, I went on a major tangent here. So it sent a letter referenced by Warner, written by U.S. Senator Maggie Hazen. Oh, look, a woman. Uh-oh, is that hate speech? Said Steam has a significant presence of users displaying an espoused neo-Nazi, extremist, racial, supremacist, misogynistic, and other hateful sentiments, and requested a detailed report on what Valve is doing about it. Warner's letter is quite similar in the regard, acknowledging that Steam does not have an online conduct policy and subscriber agreement, but questions how committed Valve is to actually enforcing it. Good tangent. Well, thank you. As Black Friday and the holiday buying season approaches, the American public should know that not only is Steam an unsafe place for teens and young adults, go fuck yourself, to purchase and play online. Go to GOG then. Fucking go to GOG. At least GOG cares that when you buy it, you actually own it. That's one, like, they're doing good about that, game preservation. But also that, absent a change in Valve's approach to use moderation and the type of behavior that it welcomes on its platform, Steam. You know, one thing I'm not seeing in this is this proof. I guess there's a link right here. I'm just scroll. Here you go. Dude, this is all funny. Like, come on. Oh my gosh. Dude, these people have no sense of humor whatsoever. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to read this anymore because this is just so fucking stupid. It's the same shit over and over and over again. Where are we? Apparently, it's an unsafe place for teens and young adults, but also absent in change in Valve's approach to user moderation, the type of behavior that it welcomes on its platform. Steam is playing a clear role in allowing harmful ideology to spread and take root among the next generation. Warner about, dude, you guys don't give a shit about the next generation. If anything, you want to corrupt the next generation. The next generation can't even tell what a woman is. That to me explains all you need to know. So you can go ahead and try to masquerade about how much you care about, like, you know, we want to make a safe space and all that stuff. Remember, these people that are saying this are the same people who jump for joy when dudes blow each other at gay pride parades, piss on each other in pools, and peg each other in front of kids. Just remember that. And then, of course, they'll try to come back and say, like, oh, you got your molestations of priests and stuff like that. And, you know, it's like, yeah, that's why it's bad. And it should be stopped and fixed and punished. Well, that's Christian-like. Don't recall the scripture saying that. Recall the scripture actually getting really upset when people would worship Moloch and set their kids on fire as a sacrifice, or the Canaanites taking newborns and staking them in pots of jars and then burying them into the ground alive, so that when they die, their blood could seep out and fertile the land. Don't hear you complaining about that. At the same time, questions about Valve's content moderation policies have persisted over the years. It does sometimes seem to inclined to let the monkeys run the circus. We said in a 2018. Wait, what? Oh, there's an aspect of irony in the complaint. Elon Musk turned Twitter into a haven for racism and Oh my gosh, I'm skipping this. Yeah, okay, I think I've had enough of the PC gamer version. This is so stupid. Let's see what Fandom Pulse has to talk about. By the way, I found this gamer article right here from Niche Gamer. Trump's FCC chairman Brendan Carr comes after Section 230 over disinformation. I thought that would be nice. PDF files are going to find any route to gain access to children, be a church, synagogue, schools, any route whatsoever. Yeah, and again, the occult route just as well. That's why they like having young kids or babies in their blood rituals. Because the life is in the blood, like Scripture says. And the younger they are, the more pure it is, that they want to corrupt it. So Mark Warner, U.S. Senator from the state of Virginia, threatened federal action against Steam and its parent company Valve if it does not take action against alleged anti-Semitism supposedly proliferating on the website. Taking action. So here's douchebag here, Mark Warner. I'm taking action against hateful and anti-Semitic rhetoric proliferating on Steam. We need to ensure that social networks aren't breeding grounds of extremist violent companies. Why don't you go after the deep net? Last I checked, the deep net is, well, I didn't actually. I never went on the deep net. Government, so piss off. How about that dark web? That dark web is still up there. Why don't you guys go after that, where like literal sex trafficking takes place? Section 230 has been so abused by big tech. Yep. We need to ensure that social networks aren't breeding grounds for extremist violent groups. So an attached press release also revealed U.S. Senator Mark R. Warren. Oh, look at that. Who would have expected? A Democrat. Today urged leadership at Valve, a prominent video game company, to respond to reports that their gaming distribution and social networking platform Steam is hosting extremist and hateful content, including over 1.5 million users and tens of thousands of groups that share and amplify anti-Semitic, Nazi, sexuality or gender-based hate and white supremacist content. They just need to send a letter back that says, no, that's not happening. The end. It added, Senator Warren called for a broad action from Valve to bring its content moderation standards in line with industry standards and crack down on the rampant proliferation of hate-based content. Not a damn, tell me it ain't so. I know, right? Of note, Warren's team cited a report from the Anti-Defamation League claiming that more than 1.8 million unique pieces of extremist of hateful content, including, I'm reading the same damn thing over and over again. I mean, the articles are similar. I understand that, but it found stuff, so it claims. So this data was allegedly created by an AI. Oh, there you go. This is what I wanted to know. How did they get this data? Okay, and apparently they got the data that was created by an AI called Hate Vision that was trained on 65,954 instances of hate symbols. Oh my gosh. That was then used to identify 78.7% of extremist symbols in the test data set, the recall, and 97.1% of the symbols it classified as extremists were actually extremist precision. The Anti-Defamation League has previously been caught creating suspect reports, in order to convince companies and politicians to take action according to its desires. In fact, Rachel Cowart, who founded the research department at Take This and served as research director, revealed in an interview with Ars Technica that she created the Take This organization after encountering a 2019 nationally representative survey from ADL. Found that nearly 1 in 4 respondents were exposed to extremist white supremacist ideology in online gaming. Why is it always extremist white supremacy? I thought all supremacy is bad. What about black supremacy? What about Asian supremacy? Why is it always the whites? I mean, I guess Asian supremacy wouldn't be in there because these assholes see Asians as white too, white adjacent. Funny how the ADL's taking pages straight out of Karl Marx's extremist manifesto. Yup. However, in a Game UX 22 representation sponsored by Bungie, Cowart admitted that the polling was a crock of crap. 2019, the Anti-Defamation League reported that nearly 1 in 4, was 23% of game players, are exposed to white supremacy's ideology in the game. She concluded, and honestly, somebody asked me earlier how I got into this work because it seems like a very niche area, but it was this report. And when I saw that, I thought the number is so high that it can't be that high. It can't possibly be that high. And I called Daniel Kelly, who led this research, and he was like, no, that's the number. And I was like, okay, we have to do something about that. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. 2021, they did another report looking at the same thing, and they found the number was closer to 1 in 10, but it's unclear whether this is actually a change in the landscape or just different sampling, as it was with research sometimes, she admitted. So, nevertheless, letter was sent. Valve must bring its content moderation practice in line with industry standards or face more intense scrutiny from... I love this. Intense scrutiny. If that's all you're going to do, then Valve should just be like, okay, we'll handle the scrutiny. It's like, oh, yeah, you're getting on us a little bit. From the federal government and its compliance in allowing hate groups to congregate and engage in activities that undoubtedly puts America at risk. He then demanded Newell answer a series of questions about Valve's. What are the questions? They don't have it. And what do you make of Mark Warner threatening federal action against Valve and Steam? And, all that jazz.
This guy must be a fag.
There, that's what I think. So as we're winding down the show here, because that can kind of tie into Section 230, Brendan Carr, who was President Donald Trump's choice for FCC chairman, he has been vocal about the role that the FCC will play in the upcoming administration. And in particular, he accused big tech of running a censorship cartel. In a former letter to big tech CEOs at Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple, no X, Carr accused the companies of contributing to censorship via their fact-checking and labeling of disinformation, in particular, their use of the NewsGuard service. So there's the post right there. NewsGuard is ostensibly meant to provide transparent fact-checking that is meant to help users identify reliable information online. Carr accuses NewsGuards of having a partisan bias and draws attention to the fact that the company has allegedly rated CCP propaganda outlets as reliable in the past. Perhaps most importantly, Carr expressed a desire to peel back protection from Section 230 of the Communications Act. Section 230 famously protects social media platforms from liability from what its users post and is one of the foundations of how such sites operates. There it is right there. Without Section 230, websites could be held liable for illegal content hosted on their sites, even if the site moderates said content in good faith. It's this good faith qualifier that Carr emphasizes, claiming that sites who perform moderation on what he considers to be valid political speech shouldn't be covered by Section 230. Carr is largely known for being one of the authors behind Project 225. In particular, covering matters regarding the FCC. Well, there you go. The dreaded Project 225. I actually haven't read that, but whatever. Alrighty, that is what I have for you guys tonight. Let me look this up real quick, because let's actually end this, as we always try to do, on a more uplifting note, and that is to see what games were released today. We usually get these from GameFAQs, Waboosh, and Moby Games. For some reason, always goes on the day, the next day on my end, as opposed to today. All right, but let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. All right, so November 18th, we've got Booger Man, a pick and flick adventure. Well, for Genesis. Ooh, Chrono Cross. Not as good as Chrono Trigger, but I really did enjoy Chrono Cross. Oh, nice. The GameCube came out today. You got Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, 007 Night Fighter, Final Fantasy X2. Did I say Night Fighter? Nightfire. Final Fantasy X2. Manhunt. Whites are hard to control, and that scares the shit out of the established order. How often do I stream? I like it here. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The show, The Power Up Podcast, 8 p.m. Central Time. That would be 9 Eastern. I try to do it on YouTube, Rumble, and X, which you can follow me over there. And I have my other social media in the description as well. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays and over the weekend, usually around the same time, the weekend, maybe like 2 p.m. Central Time, I do game streaming. And we just wrapped up Bayonetta and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and we just started Mega Man 8. 13. I actually want to play this game because I actually heard it's pretty unique. Oh, Dragon Ball Advanced Adventures. I believe I actually played that game. It's actually pretty good. You got Sonic Unleashed. I'm on Central Time. Louisiana. Nice. I am in good old Texas. Tomb Raider Underworld. I haven't played that one yet. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, apparently there's Yu-Gi-Oh 5D's Tag Force 4. What else? Disney's Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2. I never played any of the Epic Mickeys. New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U. Dragon Age. Hey, Inquisition. That's actually, I believe that's a good... Have I played that one? I heard it's really good. I've played Dragon Age Origins. I actually need to play Dragon Age 2. And 2 years ago, Scarlet and Pokemon Violet was released. I need to catch up on my Pokemon games, but Pokemon's kind of been going down the shitter. And Moby Games has a more worldwide release date. Apparently, Tetris on the Sharp X68000 was released in Japan. There you go. Ooh, the 3DO version in Japan of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Brazil got Donkey Kong Country. Very nice. Just seeing any of these games like pop out to me. I thought that said Surf Ninjas at first. I do like that movie. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell for Xbox was released. Apparently, the Windows version of Dragon's Lair 3D returned to the lair. I saw Rugrats, and I thought it said I gotta go potty, which would be appropriate because it's Rugrats, but it's party. Ooh, Metroid Prime for Canada. Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. Ooh, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, the GameCube version. Great game. I should replay those games. I'm trying to get through my backlog. Ooh, Garfield, apparently only in Germany. Not a whole lot of Garfield games, besides that weird NES game, which you could actually find a hack in translation on romhacking.net. But Garfield Caught in the Act for Sega Genesis was a really good game. I have that game. I love Garfield. Hey, Supersonic Warriors 2 was released. There you go. Metal Slug 7 for the DS, apparently. Kabam. Ooh, Naruto the Broken Bond. Is that the Path of the Ninja or the Way of the Ninja? I have the 360 one. That was actually pretty good. I think this is a sequel to that one. I never played that one. I kind of fell out of Naruto. I've read the manga, but I started watching the anime and just kind of finished the manga instead. Oh, I saw Jack and Daxter, The Lost Frontier for France. New Super Mario. We already listed off that one. Apparently the Skyward Sword Limited Edition for Italy. Darksiders 2 for the Wii U in the United States. Ninja Gaiden 3. Gaiden. It's actually Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. Now we're getting into 2015, and that's kind of like 2016. This is kind of where, the Pokemon Moon was apparently released, the retail release. Lunar Stone, Origin of Blood. Okay. I was thinking of Lunar Saga, I think. And then I noticed, like once we get down to like 2016 and beyond, you kind of see a dip in games of what games were good. Yep. Not really seeing anything else. And that is it. All right. Dude, solid games. Very solid. Alrighty, pups. That is what I have for you tonight. So again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. We were on YouTube, Rumble, and X. And you can find me on my other social medias listed below, even though I really don't use them that whole lot. Then, of course, always humbled and blessed for helping the channel grow. And if you want to go beyond the algorithm, you can always check out membership subscription tiers. Nothing special between the two. Whatever you do. Gave you a follow on X? Well, thank you. Yeah, you can always feel free to follow me on X. And yes, let's see. Who is online that we can raid or redirect in terms of YouTube? Not really seeing anybody on YouTube. What about Rumble? What about Bob? What about Bob? I'm not really seeing anybody else either. Fudge. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks again, you guys. Take care. Have a good night. God bless. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.